Hey y'all, it's Tammy with Collar Valley Cooks, and today I'm making a viewer request live steak and dumplings. Normally I always make chicken and dumplings, but somebody said their husband didn't like chicken, so she wanted me to do something with beef. And Chris came up with the idea of using cube steak. So today we're putting together steak and dumplings, and we're doing it live. So the first thing I've done is get out my cast iron wok because I'm going to fry the steak in here real quick. And it is on simmer. I'm going to go ahead and start turning that power up. And over here, I've got a pot for our dumplings. I'm going to go ahead and turn it on.
Turned on the back one.
Oh, it did. Okay. I have some beef broth that was left over when I made something beefy the other day. And it was, what I did is I poured it in here when it was really hot and I put the lid on it. So when I get it out of the fridge, it actually popped, so it was sealed good. And I'm going to pour this in here. Now, if you don't have steak broth, of course, or beef broth that you have left over, then I suggest, I'm smelling it, see what it smells like. It smells good. It's already got a lot of spices in it. So what I did is I made a roast and I actually poured up the beef broth off of it and saved it. Now, if you don't have that, you can buy beef broth. I'm going to show you. What, did you throw that away?
No, it's right here.
That beef broth?
Yeah, it's right there.
Oh, you can get beef broth that is like bold beef broth. And so if you want to get bold beef broth and make this, you can, because I want it to have a rich flavor. So my beef broth that I had left over is what I'm using. Somebody had I'd actually used this, and somebody, when they cleaned up the kitchen, put a lid on it and put it in the pantry instead of the refrigerator, so now I can't use it. But anyway, so that's getting started. This is getting hot. We're going to go ahead. This is going to go pretty quick, I hope. And we're going to go ahead and put the oil in here and start letting it get hot. This is a cast iron wok. It is on our website, available under cookware. It is wonderful. I love it. I'm using a lot of grease, and I'll probably use the same grease tonight and fry up some okra in. Okay? So I'll reuse that grease for okra tonight. Now, this is the cube steak. All I'm going to do is I'm just going to take scissors and cut it into bite-sized pieces for my steak and dumplings real quick. And I know I could have had this done already, but we're running pretty to the wire today on time. I have an actual doctor's appointment at 1:30, so we're trying to get this in and done for y'all.
Gina Badeau, again, has donated $2.
Thank you, Gina. That's awfully sweet.
We got some people from Michigan, from Pennsylvania watching.
Wow.
Got a Penn State fan on there. He had to say he was a Penn State fan because I'm an Alabama fan.
Oh, okay. I'm going to double this up, cut two at a time.
And cube steak, it's good to have a good local butcher and supermarket so you can get good cube steak. You don't want tough cube steak for this.
No, this is really tender. I could probably pull it apart with my hands. But for time's sake, I'm going to put half of it in this to season it. And then half in the other one for seasoning. Just to sprinkle seasoning on. And I'm just taking the cube steak, flapping it over, cutting it this way so that I can actually cut two pieces at a time, so y'all are not on here forever watching me cut up cube steak. So you can go let them look at the broth. Let's see if it's getting warm, Chris. See if the fat's melting in it yet.
Oh, yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, it's getting hot.
Good. So you want to go ahead and start your broth getting it warm because we will be dropping the dumplings, and it has to be boiling to drop the dumplings, okay? Now, I'm not going to cook this meat to death. I'm just going to fry it pretty quick in this skillet. And then we are going to start our dumplings. And I'm not even going to put egg wash or anything like that on it because I want this to go pretty quick.
Well, it's not going to keep that coating on it anyway.
Right. It's not like you're looking for a nice crunchy steak when it's going to be inside dumplings, right? All right, so I'm going to move this around. I got to get back over here, wash my hands, and we're going to start putting some seasoning on this.
Got a viewer from Maine. We don't get a lot of people from Maine.
No, we don't. Hello.
I don't think there's a lot of people in Maine.
My in-laws are with us today. They're out on the back porch.
Yeah.
They don't want to be videoed.
My mom and dad are here.
She didn't really get all dolled up this morning. So, because we're actually going to go fishing on the beach this evening. Yeah, it's getting warm. All right, everything's getting ready. So what we're going to do is we're going to salt and pepper it. And I was going to shake it in this, but I think I'm just going to do it this way. Be done with it.
Well, Bremen, Georgia. That's up from where my mom and dad live in Chickamauga. So that's not really close to Bremen, but.
All right, so you're just going to toss it in some self-rising flour to make it a little crunchier and got a little bit better. It'll also help us get a thicker broth inside of our dumplings when it goes to boiling. We're going to put one in here as a test piece. Once it starts to fry and float, then we know it's going to be ready. I didn't put onion powder in it, so I'm going to put some onion powder in this part. And yes, I am going to chop up an onion and throw in there with that and fry.
We've never had beef dumplings either. Somebody said they've never had beef dumplings.
This is an invention today.
We're just checking it out.
It's just something I'm coming up with off the fly, out of my head. So we're going to see how it turns out. I didn't look up anything or try to find anything. I just decided I'd make it my way. What I would do if I were going to make beef dumplings. And Chris gave me the cube steak idea, which is really good because
can't go wrong with cube
tender,
steak.
You know, and it cooks quick. And so you don't have to wait a long time on it. We're just going to drop all this down in there and let it start frying. Sorry, y'all. Anyway. I just went ahead and put the onion in there so that it would get a little singed. So I just don't want it, because when these dumplings get done, we're going to cook them pretty quick. I'm going to want to eat them, so they're not going to sit on the stove and simmer and cook those onions. And so I just decided to throw them in there.
Smells good.
So that's going to fry up. Should be on high. And then over here, this is going to be really rich, okay? I'm going to put in an onion soup mix. I think I am. Can't tear it. Onion soup mix going in. Since my beef broth is pretty rich that I've already made, I'm not going to add any bouillon. But if you don't have a rich beef broth, then you're going to have to create one with bouillon or buy some stock.
Said they like your polka dotted shirt.
Thank you. I look like a clown, don't I?
Fred Wiley asked what kind of hood that is. This was installed when we came. It was already here when we bought the house.
What brand it is.
Yeah, we're
Let's
not
see
really.
if it says. I don't see a name on it.
No, we don't know. We didn't buy it. Well, I guess we did buy it when we bought the house, but
We didn't individually buy it.
We
Now
didn't
we're going to add
install
some
it.
water to this right quick. And I need to start mixing up some dumplings. So I'm going to put this here. While that's putting some water in there, we're going to grab 2 cups of flour, self-rising. We're going to put in about a 1/4 cup of shortening. And we're going to use our blending fork. Now when I make dumplings, I make sweet milk dumplings. Now, I'm going to put enough water in here that we can drop dumplings. So I probably put in about 6 cups. So all in all, there's at least 8 cups of liquid, okay? So keep this on high. Don't touch it. You're going to want it to be brown. So while that's cooking, we're going to get over here and we're going to use our blending fork and we're going to put in our shortening for our dumplings. While you're standing right there, Chris, grab the sweet milk. Please. They can see inside the fridge. Take them over there. He's trying to give y'all a view and get milk at the same time. He is multitasking. Pretty good, ain't he? Mama hardly ever put much shortening in her dumplings at all. As long as you put plenty of flour in them, and I'm gonna show you a trick to dumplings so that they don't fall apart. For one, use sweet milk. You can use buttermilk as long as you work them enough, but I just use sweet milk when I make dumplings. So you're gonna add enough milk to blend this together. Everybody, and you're just gonna stir it until all of it's gone out of the bottom. And you can see I did that about just right. I don't know how, but once you've been cooking for a while, you don't even have to measure stuff anymore. It just works. I'm gonna lay this out on a floured surface. And work it.
Y'all can see the consistency of it. We had somebody the other day said that theirs were had fallen apart.
Yeah, now it's not ready to show them the consistency yet. So what you're going to do is you're going to work it. And you're going to put plenty of flour in it until it gets kind of a stiff feeling. I kind of know how that feels. And once you get it where it needs to be, you don't want to make them hard as rocks or nothing. But once you get it where it needs to be, you can roll it out. And I'm going to show you, once you roll it, how you know if you've put enough flour in it, okay? So it's really ready, pretty much. Let me grab my rolling pin to roll out.
Alexandra Jenkins says you have the best biscuit recipe. She must have made them.
Aw. All right, there's pepper on the countertop, so you're going to see some pepper in them.
Pepper dumplings.
Yeah. Some people put salt and pepper and different spices in their dumplings. And, you know, even green herbs and stuff.
No reason you can't.
Oh. So you're going to roll them out thin, not thick.
Trying to show y'all how thin they are, but she'll pick it up.
Yeah. Now I'm going to show you the trick to dumplings. And if you don't do this step, you can make mistakes. You're going to roll them out thin. And I mean thin, okay? And then when you pick it up and you hold it like that, it should take it a while to tear, if it even tears at all. You see how it's holding up where my thumbs are? And it's not splitting. Now it's splitted then, but it took it a while, so you know it's ready. If you pick up your sheet of dumplings, and as soon as you pick them up, they just fall apart, then you got to put some more flour in them. That's all there is to it, y'all. If you go by that rule, you will make pretty dumplings every time. Now, I always sprinkle them with flour and cut them out. And you can go in a line if you want to.
Check that
I
beef.
can tell it's not even frying one.
Oh, okay.
Whoops. That new stove, gas is so much slower than electric. We've had the electric stove for a while now, and now that electric would have had that burnt already on high. But with gas, it's kind of a slow cook, even on the big burners. So you're going to cut out your dumplings. So if you got a gas stove, this is all going to come together about the same time. If you got an electric stove, your meat's probably going to get done before you can get your dumplings mixed up. And if you could always mix up your dumplings before you even start, okay? But because I was doing this live, of course I didn't want to do that because I wanted y'all to see what I was doing. So now I'm just going to cut them out. You can use a pizza cutter, a lot of people do, to do dumplings. I've done it, but I just prefer to do it the old, I just like using the side of my fork. It's just fun to me. Now we're going in a row. We got the misfits done, now we can do the center ones.
And somebody had asked earlier, that is a new stove. Somebody had asked about.
Yep, it's a new one, all right. I need to get a lid on this pot so that it will come to a boil for these dumplings. Come to a boil. Now, if you want to add some spice to it, you can, but I'm making these old-fashioned, just plain old salt, pepper, onion, and whatever I threw in that roast broth. And put a little garlic powder in there if you like it. Chris is not real crazy about it. He does like this kind. It's roasted, so it does have a different flavor than just regular garlic, and he really likes it. Now, once I get my dumplings done, I usually put them in a bowl. Well, first, I like to sprinkle them with flour. You can never have too much flour. I'm out of flour.
Nan Caraway asked, did the dumplings turn out like a biscuit or are they chewy?
They're more fluffy like a biscuit. They're not chewy.
Yeah, they're
Like
not.
chewies would be more like if I made them like a noodle and used broth to make them instead of milk. A lot of people do that. Okay. Now let's try to stir up our steak and see how it's looking. It's pretty much deep fried. And it's done, but I want it brown. Okay. I want it brown, so it's still just a cooking. Everything's coming together nice. I'm going to go ahead and clean up my mess. And then we're just going to throw all this in this pot. It will only take about 10 minutes once they hit the water to cook. So it's a pretty fast process.
Teresa George asked how we cook fried green tomatoes. We do have a fried green tomato video where we make them with cornmeal, one kind with cornmeal and one kind with flour.
Yep.
So if you want to look that up on YouTube, we have a video on that just about fried green tomatoes.
Yeah. All you got to do to find any of my recipes, if there's something you know you want, it's probably been made. If it's, you know, something that country people eat a lot. So all you got to do is go to Google and hit, or your search engine, and type in CBC and the name of it. Let's say it's egg pie or egg custard. All you got to do is type it in with CBC or the words Color Valley Cook, and it's going to pull it up in the video tab. You're going to be able to see the video and then get the recipe at the bottom of the post.
Those onions are floating to the top and the steak's on the bottom.
Sounds good to me. Now this is supposed to be my biggest burner with the most power, and I got it all the way on high. And it's in cast iron, so I don't know how I could get it any hotter. It's just going to take time. And that's part of cooking. It makes a big difference in whether or not you're using, I didn't use this bag, whether or not you're using electric or gas to cook with. It makes a huge difference in the cook time. Gas is way slower, so when I go live, now that I have my new gas stove, it's going to take longer to get through the videos because it takes it longer to cook. We're going to throw this back up here where I keep it. I keep my sifter in a little bowl right there, and I keep all my bacon stuff kind of, in that area. So, it works good.
Somebody asked if it was expensive to change from electric to gas.
We had to have gas run through the house.
Yeah, we had to
with
get
a line and a propane tank.
Yeah, we had to get propane because they don't have natural gas here.
I want to say it was around $800 to do that. So, but it was worth it to me.
So it depends on where you live.
I'm already back in my element.
Yeah.
I'm used to it taking longer to cook something. Then you got time to clean up and wipe up. And I'm always used to cooking on high because with gas, when you cook on high, it still takes a long time. So when I had that electric stove for those few weeks, oh man, it about drove me crazy. I was burning it. I mean, I cooked everything on high and it would get so hot and then I'd have to pull it off. It's just so different. But we're already cleaning up. See? That's the good thing about having gas. All right, we're going to start dropping some dumplings because it's boiling. Now, once you get a boil going, then you can start dropping your dumplings.
Fred Wiley says the natural gas has more BTUs than the propane, which makes sense.
Oh, okay. Well, Fred, I just get to lay back and take my time now, don't I? Now, I'm going to drop those. Once I drop them, I'm going to put a lid on them, and I'm going to let them simmer like that. Bring them back up to a boil, and then they need to cook at least 10 to 15 minutes once they've hit the water so that they don't taste like dough, okay?
And several people are saying they have not had steak dumplings, and we have not either. We are.
This is a new one.
Yeah, we're trying this because somebody requested beef dumpling.
Yeah, her husband don't like chicken. My daddy's never liked chicken either. I don't know, maybe they just grew up with chickens and seen them getting killed and stuff. They just don't have a taste for them. Some people are like that, you know. If their mama made them chicken their whole life, they don't want no more chicken. So I decided that I was going to make a beef dumpling because it was requested. And Chris had this bright idea of using the steak. And I think it's going to be really good.
Looks good.
Look, I think we can put the steak back in the dumplings already.
We are using corn oil to fry this in. Claudette asked what
Claudette, I'm also going to put okra in this, and I'm going to use this grease a couple of times. Now I'm going to use it for some veggies too. So I'm going to go ahead and start dropping these in there. And I'm just going to take the spoon.
I'm going to get on this side.
Okay. I'm just going to take the spoon and just barely press on these dumplings a little bit. But for the most part, I'm just dropping the steak down in there. And I'm going to let some of the grease drain off of it while I'm doing it.
It's going to look pretty. We'll see how good it is. I bet it's going to be good. I'm sure it's going to be good. How could you go wrong? You got nice tender cube steak and dumplings.
And these nice onions, now they're not going to be raw.
And we had a lady on here a while ago whose son I had at Paulding County High School. And I think her name was Fane. So if that is true, I think his name was, I think it was Tyson Fane, maybe? I can't remember.
That's cool.
It's probably good that I don't remember his name because that means he didn't get in trouble. If I remember their name, they probably stayed in trouble.
All right, I'm dipping the last of the onion out of here. Making sure I don't leave any steak. I see 2 pieces down the bottom kind of sizzling. Because if you reuse this, you don't want to leave any meat in it. Now it's hot enough, if some of y'all are wondering, how can you reuse that when it's had meat in it? I'm going to reuse it tonight. Plus, it is so hot that I'm not worried about, I'm just going to let it cool down and push it to the back, and I'm going to fry some okra and squash and stuff in it tonight.
And we can strain it if we need
Yeah,
to.
now that that's in there, I'm going to put a lid on these and let those dumplings cook a couple of minutes. And then we're going to come back. So we'll go ahead and get us out a bowl and stuff to taste with. And we're going to see how this turns out. I can't remember who asked for this for their husband, but if you did, let us know who you are, because this might become a hit, Maybe it will. All right.
If we strain it, we usually don't use a cheesecloth. We just use a strainer.
Yeah, I just use those.
Yeah, like these over here. Just to get the big stuff out of it. We don't get super serious with it. She said her son's name was Nathan. I think David. She said he did get in trouble a couple of times. We're putting all Nathan's business out there today.
Poor Nathan.
I'm sure now he's got it under control.
Y'all want to look at them? They're bubbling.
Good.
So they'll be done in just a minute. So y'all want to ask any questions while we're waiting on those to finish? You can. We'll have a question and answer session. Y'all want to see some of my favorite things to cook with is onion powder. I love onion powder. I love the roasted garlic powder I showed y'all earlier. that is the Badea because it does have a different flavor than just plain garlic powder. I love Knorr bouillon. I like to buy it in granules or in squares. Why do I like Knorr? Because it's good and it's cheap. Yes, I like Better Than Bouillon and all those other ones, but they cost so much money and I use so much of it. I'd rather get the cheap stuff if it's good. Oh, I put that beef thing down in there, so I can't put that back up there. Remember, when you make a roast or something, and you got the broth, before you thicken it, before you put, like Mom always thickened her roast with, you know, like milk and flour, and then you have a gravy to sop it up with your biscuits. But before you do that, if you've got ample, then pour it up and save it. Use it within a couple of weeks if you put it in the refrigerator. It's not something, you know, you can keep in there a long time.
Okay, we've had a couple of questions here. One of them asked, what broth did you use? It was a broth that she had left over from one of her roasts. We had, why we use corn oil instead of vegetable oil.
Because Granny did. Granny always used corn oil. The doctor told her to use Mazola corn oil. I don't have to get Mazola, but I do like to use corn oil. That's just what I use for just about everything. This is the broth that I would recommend. It's a little more expensive, but lots of times Publix has it buy one, get one free. It's bold and balanced. So it is an actual broth that's bold. If you don't get this, then get stock. Something that's got some oomph to it. Okay?
And somebody asked where we got our pictures at. We got our pictures that are up there and up there at a place called At Home. It's a home furnished, or well, what would you call it?
Look how these dumplings are cooking up. Now they're not so fluffy looking. They're getting more formed like a dumpling. So they're almost ready. Now we got that big picture and the wheel at home and the two. And then we got that at home. Most all of our stuff came from
Most
there.
of it, yeah.
It did.
We went to Jacksonville.
Yeah, they had one in Jacksonville when we moved down here. And so that's where we got most of our stuff.
Big place.
Yeah. I made my tea a lot sweeter because Nana likes her tea very sweet. So I got some good sweet tea, y'all. I think I could go ahead and taste it. And then it's just going to sit on low until Nana and Papa get them a bowl. All right, so we're going to pour me up a little bit to taste. Just so y'all can see how it looks. And we're going to just see what it turned out to be like. Okay? I'm going to use a ladle so I can get down there and get staked at the same time. You can see it in my ladle. The reason we chose this cut of beef is we wanted it not to be cooked to death and still be, you know, we want it to taste tender. So I'm not going to get any more. I just want to taste it so that y'all won't be on here forever. I'm going to put a lid on it and I'm going to let it simmer on low until they come and make their plate. So I'm going to put this right here and we're going to give it a taste.
Beef dumplings.
Beef dumplings. There's always a first time for everything. You can see the onion, you can see the beef, and you can see the dumpling. Looks good, don't it? Now it's hot, so I got to give it a second to cool down. First, I'll taste the steak with the dumpling. Let me get a small dumpling so I don't get burnt. Or there's a little one. And an onion. It's all three in one spoon, but they're little. So I don't burn myself. Now we're going to see if this beef got too tough or not. Now, like Chris said, if you get cube steak, you need to make sure that you're getting a good cube steak. If it looks like it's got a lot of white in it, then it's like tendons, muscle tendons, and it will be tough on you. And you know, like it's hard to pull apart. And so get some good cube steak. Go to your local place that actually has a butcher or a meat, what do you call them? Like the thing we went to?
Like a place where you buy meat. Like it's
They're,
just a
all
meat
they do
market
is
or
yeah, a
whatever.
meat market.
Yeah.
All right, let's take it. Taste it. It's delicious. The beef is very tender. I mean, it just fell apart as soon as my teeth hit it. And that's what you want it to do. I didn't want to use ground beef, but if you are on a budget, and cube steak's usually as cheap as ground beef, but if you want to use ground beef, you can, but I didn't want it to be like hamburger chunks. And I really love the fact that Chris picked out this type of meat to make this with. I think it's a home run, 100% home run. So whoever asks for this for their husband, he will enjoy eating his steak and dumplings. I'm gonna get another bite now because it's so good. It's perfect. It really don't even need salt and pepper. But now add salt and pepper to taste, of course. That's my favorite. My favorite things to season food with: butter, salt and pepper. I mean, I can eat just about anything if it's got butter and salt and pepper on it. Y'all have a great day, and thanks for watching Collard Valley Cooks, where we cook like Mama did. And sometimes, did you turn it off?
I did.
Well, you always do that.